Welcome to the HarvestNet podcast, where we discuss topics such as leadership, ministry, and church planting, as we aim to fulfill the Great Commission together through relational connections. HarvestNet International is a global network that exists to network and equip frontline workers for World Harvest. It is our hope to see the gospel preached in all nations and to partner with others who share the common goal. We hope this podcast will encourage, equip, and empower you. For more information on HarvestNet, feel free to visit our website at harvestnetinternational.com.
Hi, everybody. Barry Whistler here from HarvestNet International, and a special guest here today in our podcast is Kevin Eshleman, who you probably know pastors Ephrata Community Church. So our topic is about governance and accountability. We want to talk a little bit about how to establish a board. We use the term governance for organizations because it's how they make decisions, the process and the structures. And then involved in it is accountability, which is more personal, where the leader is accountable to somebody else. And you have the whole range in the body of Christ from leaders that sort of ignore it entirely. It's a little bit easier that way, but can be problematic then. Or you can have it set up in detail, but if it's not really functional, it doesn't really do the purpose of it. What would you say the purpose of the governance is, and how would you start to arrange it, set one up?
Well, Barry, first of all, thanks for having me on. And of course, as you and I both know, we've kind of walked this journey together.
Yeah.
Both with Ephrata Community Church and HarvestNet forming all the way back in the 1990s and starting from fundamentally nothing to what it is today. And so you and I have both seen the benefits of good governance, and we've also seen when governance does not work well.
Yes, we have.
And it's very unfortunate. And it's one of those things, I like to look at the structure that we need for ministry to be, it almost needs to be unseen, but if it's not there, you know it. So at some point, it can almost be that you have so much structure that it becomes a hindrance to ministry and you can't see it feel like you move forward.
Right.
But at the same time, if it's not there, oh my goodness, things collapse. It's almost like the skeleton of your body. Yeah. You need the structure. You never see it, hopefully. If you see it, something's wrong.
It's almost like scaffolding or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I know I've heard that sometimes, I think some structures are set up to prevent somebody from leading.
That's exactly right, yeah.
And so it's so restrictive and so controlling that the leader really can't lead.
Yeah.
Which is probably why some avoid it. So we're not talking about something like that's that tight.
Which is a good point. When people think about building their team or they think about accountability, they have to be careful that their view about that is not based upon a bad experience. Because there is bad experiences where they felt like this team is actually restricting the movement of the Lord. And that has happened.
It has.
And so we have to think through our own thoughts about what we think about good accountability and good church government. And because we have to realize not one of us is the complete picture.
Right.
Both with skill, talent, spiritual gifts, insight, like you name it.
Yeah.
So we have to admit that we have to be firmly knitted into the body of Christ.
Yeah. Well, in HarvestNet, one of our values is teamwork. So that means we need more people, and we get the benefit of all their gifts and their perspective, the questions they ask that we might have forgot.
Yep.
But we want governance that allows a leader to lead. And it's a delicate balance to have that.
It is. When you think about building a team, and I know that you know this because you've done it and done it well, but it isn't just simply about getting a job done. It's about the relational part of that. So I've said that some people will get on a podcast like this, or we could do a podcast, and you could advocate for one specific model of church government that is the one that works.
There isn't one.
That works. That's right. The thing is, even that which would be considered a bad model would work if good people are there.
It all comes down to who's on the team, the chemistry, their experience and qualifications, and then their ability to work together to get towards a decision.
Yep. And you can have the best model that everybody says works, and if you have the wrong people on it, it is just not going to work.
Yeah, I know when I teach church government, there's various types, and they all have their benefits. We've tried to blend it.
Yep.
But it really comes down to the people.
Yeah, it sure does.
Rather than the structure itself. Yeah, so how would you select team leaders if you were putting a team together from scratch?
Yep. Well, there is the obvious qualifications that come out of Timothy and Titus and that are scriptural as well, which, above reproach. One of the things it says there is not given to financial gain, which that's part of it. But I think that actually speaks to almost any kind of agenda that someone would have. Yeah. Their reputation towards outsiders, their sober-mindedness, even their relationship. Like, you could have a good guy, but if they deal with you as a primary leader in a very harsh way, that's just not pleasant. I mean, who really wants that kind of stuff?
Well, and trust is so high. You need trust on the team.
Yeah.
But we want in the church's case, the congregation or the donors and members of an organization, they need to trust the governance. So that's why the Bible says, I think, that they need to have a good reputation.
Yep. And I think, it's interesting how it says above reproach, but then it specifically mentions of good reputation with outsiders. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting that it's just not inside or what you think, but actually what people on the outside would think of that as well. It's interesting that that's there as a qualification as well.
Well, it brings trust. You can have a cult that actually all agrees on one leader and completely trusts them almost blindly. And we're not looking for something like that either.
Yep. So with spiritual gifts, what do you think of Romans chapter 12? It speaks about the gift of leadership, which is like the ability to oversee.
Right.
So there can be a diversity of gifts, and should be, but then there is that one common of like the ability to oversee and manage.
Yeah.
That would be present in someone that you're looking for to lead.
Yeah, I think, you can have a variety of giftings or personalities, but whoever it is, they need to have the ability to govern by making decisions, and they have to be able to make decisions with other people.
Yep.
It's not just their opinion, but they need to be able to come to a consensus by some discussion process.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and there's so we would have done that recently here on our team, where we were looking to add elders to our team, and we thought about what spiritual gifts are sitting around the table, and then what are we lacking, or what do we need to strengthen, and then even what kind of skills are needed in that as well. And I think there might be a tendency, depending, especially when it comes to, any primary gifting that the leader would have, you might trend towards those that would agree with you.
Sure.
Or share, like if you're an evangelist, man, you want evangelists around you. You're a prophet, you want prophets around you. You want a teacher, it's line by line. And we have to be pretty intentional of, especially when it comes to the Ephesians 4, of having, some of that gifting around the table. And intentionally, like if you're a prophet, you'll want some teachers around the table.
I think teachers need prophets and prophets need teachers.
Absolutely.
If you look at Acts 13 in particular, there's such a variety. And there's an implied variety there too. So, you want a variety of Ephesians 4 gifting.
Isn't prophet, when you think about how they're listed, isn't prophet right in the middle of all of them?
Now that you're mentioning, I guess it is.
Apostles, evangelists, and prophets, teachers and pastors and teachers.
Well, there had to be pastors there, and of course there were apostles. They're not named that till later.
Yeah.
But I always joke about teachers and prophets praying together, but it's an accomplishment, sort of miraculous, but actually it's a good thing. If we could get that happening among the gifts, that'd be a wonderful thing.
Yep. Would you want to talk a little bit about Alan Vincent's questions that he would ask people as you're building a team?
I could do that. I talked about it often enough. In fact, last night I did some interviews, but Alan used the David's Mighty Men story, and I think it's 2 Chronicles 14, is it?
Yeah, 2 Chronicles, I think it's 12.
12, you're right, 12. It has this one verse where it says, and they came to David, and he asked them, have you come in peace? Or he said, if you've come in peace, and if you come to help me, and if your heart will be joined to mine. So I don't know if Alan actually asked those questions, but I know I've used them personally just in evaluating someone. And the first one, do you come in peace, just has to do with whether you will keep peace in the relationships. Will you work for peace? Will you reconcile? If there's a disagreement, will you stay at the table instead of walking off if you don't get your way? And coming to help me has to do with the agenda, the goals of the organization or the leader. They should accept the leader as a leader, and they should be there to help the whole team, the whole organization, rather than just their pet department or project, whatever it is. And the third one is, will you let your heart be joined to mine? And as you said, it's really relational. And
very much
we spend time together to build equity. So if we do get in some place where we disagree, we have equity. We don't walk away. We're friends. But we don't just want a board member that fills a seat. We want somebody who's committed to the team, and it has to be a tight, loving, committed, almost covenant brother and sister relationship.
Yeah, like you said, whether you ask the questions or not, you still are in a place where it can become a framework to be able to think through. And as you talk with someone, is this person coming as in an adversarial relationship, or do they come in peace?
It happens.
Are they coming to help?
Right.
To lend their hand, like they have gifts and are going to bring. But then that third part, which I think oftentimes people miss, is, will you let your heart be joined to mine?
Right.
Like, it's more than just simply about the work. It's actually about the people.
Yeah.
And that can easily be missed, I think, when you're building teams.
It requires some commitment to investing in the relationship and a little bit of vulnerability, because we need to be honest when we're making decisions, but yet be vulnerable to the point that we could be wrong or we don't see the whole picture. Not everybody's, willing to do that. And I think one of the points of his questions has to do with character. I remember Alan saying, it doesn't matter how gifted you are, if you can't function with us peacefully like this, we don't need you. We can't really use you because we'll spend all this energy dealing with you, basically, instead of moving forward.
Yeah, it's just not going to be a chemistry fit.
Yeah. And chemistry is involved, no doubt about it. That's why when I was interviewing some potential elders last night, it was actually the existing elders that also need to evaluate, not just the criteria, but can we see that person functioning with us? And, there needs to be a fit there.
Yeah, I'd say once you have the people in place, then we may not get into real specifics about how to do it, but some generalities. One of those things is clarity is kindness. You have to be clear about what the role of that leadership team, that board is. What you as the primary leader expect from them, what they can expect from you. And even when it comes to things like, will a leadership team have access to my calendar? Will they know what I'm up to? Will they, what level of disclosure? And there's many things that we could talk about with that, but it's a matter of ultimately being clear about what you need from them, but also what they expect of you as the primary leader as well.
Yeah, that's right. Clarity, expectations is important for the leader and the board, or the elders, if it is a church. I had a thought and I just lost it. Right on camera.
And some of that is when you think about, folks sometimes think, well, we need to write policy and so forth. And there just needs to be just enough policy. Because that's part of bringing clarity.
It is. Some people need it in writing, or at least you could point back to that. But you can legislate, and you'll still have issues and problems. So you can't get away from that.
So you know that I serve local public school.
Right.
Any idea how many policies we have? Do you want to have a guess?
Could be thousands, I guess.
It's not found. I'm not quite that bad. 342.
342. You know exactly how many you have.
I looked. Yes.
Actually, that's not bad for an organization the size of a school district.
But there's so many. Sometimes you can be so drowning in policy that it almost feels like you can't do anything without checking policy. So you need to have enough,
Right.
and things need to be clear. But
People need to know where to find them and know
Yeah.
that they exist, even if they can't remember exactly
Yeah.
what it says.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you mentioned kindness. This was my thought. I got it back again. I think it's important. Scripture says, speak the truth in love. And those are put together for a reason, because
Yeah.
we have to be honest on the board, and there are times where we'll disagree. But it needs to be done in a loving way and in a way that is kind as possible. It's okay to be clear and blunt, but not mean.
Yeah.
So that keeps it functional and keeps it working together well. And I always recommend Patrick Lencioni's book, 5 Dysfunctions of a Team.
Yep. Absolutely.
Because it talks about the need for honesty, unfiltered conversations. I've seen boards where people are sitting there quiet and they're obviously afraid to speak.
Yeah.
Maybe they're cautious, but eventually they need to be honest. But we need to be honest in a good way too.
Yep.
That's a good book if you caught that.
Yeah, it truly is.
There's others, obviously, but that was one that I've used in elders teams just to get them to have honest conversations and work towards consensus rather than making it all about. Most of our organizations don't vote, and that
Right.
sort of emphasizes process. Obviously, you can make a decision quickly if you have to.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. When you and I have talked about this, we've used the phrase functional accountability.
I like that
We've
phrase.
seemed to have to add on the word functional
Right.
to what you would think accountability by definition would be functional, but we've
not
learned
always.
that that's not the case.
No, it isn't. Some of the events in the last couple of years in the body of Christ have showed us the need for governance
Yeah.
and the needs for accountability.
Yeah.
I think all of us need to be accountable somewhere. Probably the more responsibility we have, the more
Yeah.
places and people we have to be accountable to or transparent, vulnerable to.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just part of the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can ask someone, hey, do you have an accountability structure in place? And there are going to be a lot of people that say yes. But then what does that mean?
Right.
Like, how does that, do you meet monthly? Do you meet quarterly? Do they get, if you're an itinerant, are they speaking into your schedule? Are they speaking into what you do and what you don't do, what you invest yourself in? And so much of that has to do with just simply a willingness. You have to be willing to, as a primary leader, you have to be willing to offer yourself for the sake of accountability.
I think you actually have to want it. You have to know that you need other people to keep the boundaries there so you don't overextend yourself, and you have to want someone to be honest with you and sometimes ask for it, or at least be vulnerable enough that the board or the elders know that they can approach you.
Yep.
If they see something that they need to talk about.
Yep.
So, and that's probably be good for every leader should know and be able to say who they're accountable to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And if it's vague, if it only meets once a year, if the board is stacked with friends and relatives, it's probably not going to function very well.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that happens. I know why, but I think we need to have governance that's clear and functional.
Absolutely.
I think there's an investment in building a board, relationally, the clarity. I mean, we're just at HarvestNet, we just wrote a governance manual. Again, not too big, but enough that it's clear that you can pass it on to the next new board member that comes on. And it's an investment because there are times where an organization does get into some kind of a crisis for whatever reason. And at that point, having a board that's functional, having things clear, having clear accountability is very important.
Yeah, you never want to leave an organization in disarray. So whether that is just simply because the march of time and things weren't taken care of, or some sort of crisis comes, but we do want to care for the organization, the people that we care for, And that just simply comes by having some good things in place.
Yeah. I think leaders owe it to the people that are following them to have it in place. And when there's a mess, it's not always intentional. It could just
Right.
be that we're busy, we neglected, we didn't think we needed it, and then something does come up, either in the leader's personal life or in the organization, and all of a sudden you need to make some decisions. And if it's in place ahead of time, it's much better.
Yep.
Transition times are one example, a crisis where there's some kind of failure. It's good to have that invested first, ahead of time.
Absolutely.
Anything else? Any other advice you want to give our listeners about creating a board? Some of them might have boards and just need to make sure it's functional, but there's probably some that don't and know they need to.
Yeah. It is worth the work to do it.
Yeah.
So make no mistake, it is work. It's work to discern the right people. It's work to put some things in order. But man, it can expedite and multiply ministry if it's done well.
Yeah.
And so that place of humility of realizing that we aren't the complete picture. We need other people. God has us fitted into the body. He has us fitted in the body with people that we agree with, while at the same time having diversity in it as well.
Yeah.
And man, it just makes the whole ministry experience much richer and much more fruitful. And I would encourage, I know it's one of those things that can be disregarded and think we don't need that and even sometimes the urgency of ministry causes people to postpone that thing, which is kind of behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But man, when it's needed, you need it then.
Yeah, and in charismatic worlds, spirit-filled worlds like our organizations are, you can get the idea that God governs through anointed leaders, which is absolutely true. But that doesn't mean they don't make mistakes or that they don't need someone to help shoulder the weight of the decisions. And we've tried to blend. Congregational government can work if you have very good people involved.
Absolutely,
and having the body involved a little bit is good. We try to blend that with elder or team governance or rule, which I think is very biblical. And we don't have bishops or anything like that, but we do. Oftentimes there's outside advisors.
Absolutely.
So that sounds a little complicated, and you might wonder why you need that all, although, again, it would be during a time of crisis or a time of fast growth where everything is taxed, that those kinds of things would be helpful.
Yep.
And you almost have to invest in putting it in place ahead of time.
Yeah.
And then I think it pays off.
It surely does. Absolutely agree. It does pay off.
Yeah.
So we would surely encourage any leader to take that step.
Yeah.
And even to reach out to HNI, if you feel like, hey, I need a little bit of help to how to do that.
Yeah.
So reach out for those questions.
Yeah, and I would emphasize that and offer. We have helped. Sometimes a new church will help them pick elders the first time. If you have an existing team, but you need some help in how it functions, I know I'm opening the door here a little bit, but sometimes you've had some people sit in on meetings with your staff or elders so they can just see it.
Absolutely.
Because some things are just better seen and caught rather than read it on a page.
Exactly.
So if you need some help, the key is to ask for it, and don't go it alone.
Absolutely.
Don't wait until you need it to try to set it up.
Yep.
We could probably fill a couple hours with
We
this
could.
stuff.
That's exactly right.
I think we've covered enough that should be helpful. And we will probably have some more on this topic at our summits and other events because it's an important one.
Absolutely. Yep.
Well, thanks, Kevin. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Barry. Thanks for having me.
And thanks to everybody for watching. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so thankful that you took the time to listen. If you enjoyed what you heard, please like and subscribe to our channel, and feel free to share this episode with your friends. To learn more or to give to HarvestNet, visit the link in our channel description. Don't forget, follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at HarvestNet International.